Hello, lovely people. Hope you're well and welcome to the 298 UFC review recap show. We have a new middleweight champion. A rocky story is complete, and a new bantamweight women's champion. Neil Magny defies father time. Evloev keeps on evolving, and Chris Curtis puts on another great fight. People, sit back, stay tuned. Let's get into the review show. Hope you're well. Before we get into it, please do smash that like button, subscribe if you're new to the channel. Also, getting straight into it, and it was billed as a fight that was going to be a war. Two fighters who don't really take a backward step, pressure fighters, reckless in their approach sometimes, but can be very calculated in different ways in other times, and that is Strickland and Duplessis. And Duplessis is the new middleweight champion. I predicted he would win it. Did he actually win it though? And that's the question, because I don't know if he did. I don't know if he did. The fight was scored 3 rounds to 2 by two judges in favor of Duplessis, 3 rounds to 2 by one judge in favor of Strickland. I personally had Strickland win. And now I went on MMA Verdict, who usually are very good with their scores, and they also had Strickland win as well, if I'm not mistaken. It was a very close fight. I'm not going to sit here and say it was a robbery. Absolutely not a robbery. Could have gone either way. I just had it Strickland. But it was a very good fight. Wasn't brilliant, especially in the last couple of rounds. It really grew. Strickland started the fight really well. His jab, look, I gotta be honest. He's got one of the best jabs in MMA. He really does. It's a piston of a jab, and he was piecing up Duplessis. Duplessis is very, very gung ho in his approach, and he really started to grow into the fight. In my opinion, in the third round, I thought the second round was a lot closer, but I still gave it to Strickland. I thought 3 and 4 were definitely Duplessis, and I had round 5 for Strickland. But that leads me on to the next bit. Because it was such a close fight, surely we got to run this one back. And I know Strickland hasn't been champion for long, but a fight this close for the belt, surely you run it back. Surely you do, because that's what I would do. And again, I'm saying this as a massive Israel Adesanya fan. I would run this fight back. However, Dana's come out recently already saying that it seems as though, he may go a different route. Shout out to Stanko. Shout out to Avi from Blue Chip TV. Shout out to Dan as well. Shout out to Sahil. I wouldn't go in the Izzy direction. I don't think he deserves a fight for the belt right now. I do think this fight should be run back. I do think it should be a rematch. But another option is the winner of Whittaker and Costa. They fight at the next pay-per-view. If one of them gets a decisive win, especially Whittaker, I think you can make an argument for Whittaker versus Duplessis too. If Costa wins, I think you can make an argument for Costa to get the next title shot. Another person who's reared is and thrown his hat into the ring is Hamzat. Now, Hamzat often does this when there's a fight that happens that's in and around his weight division. He'll speak about it. For me, Hamzat can't get this fight. He just can't. It's not right. He hasn't fought anyone at 185 who's ranked. And arguably, he lost the fight against Usman. Some will say he won, some will say he lost. In my opinion, he lost that 2 rounds to 1. But he hasn't fought anyone ranked at 185. Not his fault. He was scheduled to fight Costa. Costa had to pull out because he had an infection in his arm. But even still, we need to still see him fight someone ranked. Shout out to the legend. That is John Conway. Big up yourself, bro. Hope you're well. Stanko, here's a shout. Izzy versus Hamzat, and then the winner gets Drakus later on. Yeah, could definitely do that. Could definitely do that. But for me, it was a very good fight. Congratulations to Duplessis. I want to see that fight run back. I think Strickland deserves a rematch because of how close it was and the fact that I think he won the fight as well. But South Africa has a new champion, and that is Drakus Duplessis. Moving on to the other title fight that was on the card, and Amanda Nunes had vacated her belt after winning her last fight as UFC champion, and we needed to crown a new bantamweight women's champion, and we did just that, as Raquel Pennington had a rocky story after losing to Nunes a few years back. Well, not a few years back, about 6 years back. She went on a 6-fight winning streak, and she beat Bueno Silva over the course of 5 rounds. Not a great fight. I think Pennington could have utilized a different game plan, even though she won. She's piecing her up with the boxing, but continued to get into grappling exchanges and tie clenches, and she didn't need to. She could have kept her distance and outboxed her, and I think she could have potentially got a stoppage from that. However, she did get the win. I just feel as though we need some new injection in this bantamweight division. Amanda leaving has left a massive gap. Valentina, I don't think will move up to 135 just yet. We need some new contenders now. And I think the fact that Nunes isn't there and Pennington has now become champion, I think you look at your likes of Holly Holm and Aldana and Caitlin Vieira, and some of these women will now look at it and go, well, you know what? There's a new champion here. Nunes isn't here. She was the dominant champion. She's the best. And they may try and make a run for the belt. However, next in line is definitely Juliana Pena, who should have been fighting for the belt on this card, but was injured. So Juliana Pena will fight Raquel Pennington next, I believe. And I believe Juliana Pena will win, and she'll be the life of that division. I know not a lot of people like Pena. I actually like Pena. I think she toes the line really well between having a gimmick and also not being overly disrespectful. I think she keeps it playful, and I think she does things really well in the character. So I look forward to seeing what happens there. But congratulations to Raquel Pennington. Great win and a new champion. Speaking of great wins, going into this card, me and Luke, shout out to Luke Tanner, go and subscribe to Luke's channel. Also go and subscribe to Jamie Phillips' football chats as well. I looked at this fight and said, Neil Magny just fought Ian Gary and got absolutely dominated. He's now being thrown in with Mike Mallow, or Mike Mallott, depending on how you pronounce it, in Canada, in his hometown. It's a layup. And I was expecting Mike Mallott to go out there and, get the layup. However, Neil Magny says, I ain't keeping the gate for everyone. And you know what? He defied Father Time with a great win. He lost the first round, absolutely lost the first round, but you saw him growing into the fight in the second round, and you're thinking, surely not. I think Mike Mallow got a takedown, but Neil Magny sort of reversed and was doing some good stuff as well. But in the third round, Neil really went after it, and he got the takedown. He got full mount, and he just rained down blows on Mike. And I was looking at the clock thinking, are they going to try and stretch this out so Mike can get through this round and then he potentially will get the decision victory? The referee did the right thing, though, stepped in when he needed to, and Neil Magny gets a vital and massive win for him. Stays in the top 15, may even go up in the rankings potentially, but it's very intriguing now to see what's going to happen with Mike Malloy, because he's been fighting in Canada to build his name, build his resume. Neil Magny was meant to be that name on his resume that says, right, I'm in the top 15, I've arrived. He fell short, and he's still got a long career ahead of him. This is definitely not the end, but I'm interested to see where he goes next. He's going to have to take a step or two back to rebuild himself, but sometimes these fighters need to lose sometimes to then go on a run and establish themselves. So Mike Malloy, I'm sure he'll be fine. Hopefully he's got no injuries and hopefully he bounces back. But congratulations to Neil Magny, man. Congratulations to Neil Magny, doing the business still. Another fight on the card was Sean Strickland's teammate, and that is Chris Curtis versus Barrios. And let's be real, how often is it that Chris Curtis is in a boring fight? The only boring fight I've seen him in was the fight against Hermanson. And that's because Hermanson just did a really good job of maintaining range. And obviously you saw how annoyed Chris Curtis was with that. But it was a very good fight. Very good fight. For me, this kind of got the crowd going a little bit. Chris Curtis, Barrios, they both brought it, especially in that last round. They were literally fighting in a phone booth in the last round. And Chris Curtis, with some of his boxing, his body work, and some of his knees and elbows, did a really good job of offsetting Barriott. But Barriott gave a good account of himself as well. I'm just happy Chris Curtis got the win, and I just want to see him fight again. Whenever he fights, it's always a good fight. So long may it continue. I'm intrigued to see who he fights next. There's some good people at 85. Even a rematch against Hermansson potentially. I think Hermansson's booked to fight. Is it Pfeiffer potentially? But look, even down the line, that could happen. But there are some good fights at 85. Look, even Hamzat. Maybe Hamzat versus Curtis to just get himself in the rankings at 185 properly. I know he's in there, but he's not in there on merit. Maybe against Hamzat, Chris Curtis versus Hamzat, that could run as well. But we'll see. Looking forward to seeing what happens with Chris Curtis next. An excellent victory for the fighter trained alongside Sean Strickland. And very interesting. I mean, he's even alluded to the fact that he might even fight Sean Strickland as well. I don't see that happening. Kind of hope it doesn't. They're good friends. But you never know. This sport is crazy, and they're both crazy guys, and they might want to make a bit of money from fighting each other rather than sparring for free all the time. And we finished off with the first fight on the card, and that was Evloev showing his evolution against almighty Arnold Allen. Now, anyone knows me, knows Luke, knows Jamie. We're big Arnold Allen fans. We all predicted Arnold to win this fight, and we predicted he would win this fight and then potentially get the next title shot. That's not going to happen, though. Evloev put on a clinic, in my opinion. An absolute clinic, especially in the second and third round. A little bit of controversy with the knee strikes. I didn't think they were illegal knee strikes, but I think in Canada, the commission states that those were legal knee strikes. So the issue I have with that is, why isn't there just a universal commission, which all the rules are the same no matter where you fight in the world? Because it creates confusion for the fighters, and it creates confusion for us, the viewers, as well. Apart from that, Evloev was brilliant. It wasn't even a debate who won at the end of that fight. It was so clear. And look, I went into this fight saying, Evloev is a decision machine and doesn't hit hard, and I don't see how he stifles Allen, especially after he fought Diego Lopez and didn't do great. Completely shut me up. And I think we have a new contender now. He, in my opinion, will move into the top 4 of the division. Ortega and Yair Rodriguez are fighting. You've got Ilya versus Volkanovski next. I think Evloev gets the winner of Volkanovski and Topuria, unless Volkanovski loses, where he might demand an instant rematch, depending on how he loses. But Evloev is a new contender at 45, and that 45 division is really shaping up to be something special. Emmett got that stunning victory against Bryce Mitchell. You've got Evloev now. Arnold Allen still in the mix. Max Holloway's there if he manages to beat Gaethje for the BMF belt. You've also got Yair and Brian Ortega making a comeback. That 45-pound division is looking very, very tasty again. And I'm looking forward to seeing what happens next. So people, let me know your thoughts in the comments about UFC 298. For me, I think fight of the night was the main event, Strickland versus du Plessis. I think performance of the night was Evloev, and there was only one finish on the main card. So finish of the night goes to Neil Magny from me. So people, please do smash that like button if you haven't already. Subscribe if you're new to the channel. And please make sure you also check out Luke Tanner's channel and Jamie Phillips' channel. So more MMA content coming throughout the week. So make sure you switch on the notification bell. Enough love to you all. Thank you all for tuning in. UFC 298 in the books. Till I see you next time. Take care, everyone.